Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in the previous session, we started discussing about properties of a colloidal solutions. So one among them we have already completed, that is colligative properties we have studied. So whenever if you consider colligative properties, you have to remember yes these are the properties of a dilute solutions. Okay, it depends on what? It depends on the number of particles, number of fluid particles and number of solvent particles, but not on their chemical nature. So on comparison, when we compare colligative properties of a colloidal solutions with the true solutions having a common solvent. So what we said, the colligative properties, the magnitude of colligative properties of colloidal sol is less in comparison with the true solutions. And second one, we studied Tyndall effect. So Tyndall effect, what it is? It is the phenomenon of scattering of light by colloidal particles. So it's called a Tyndall effect. Even we consider the Tyndall effect and the how Tyndall effect takes place. Okay, and even we considered conditions for a Tyndall effect. Yes, now in this session we are going for the continuous part of the chapter, that is properties of a colloidal solution itself. The continuous part, the next property of a colloidal solution is about color. Okay, yes, we know whenever we look at the substances, they are colored one. In and around, we are going to observe a colored particles or colored substances. Now here, colloidal solutions are all going to bear a color. Yes, the color of colloidal solution depends on what factor? It depends on the wavelength of light. Since we know colloidal particles are going to scatter a light in a different directions. Whenever light radiation fall on a colloidal particle, what happens? Part of the radiation will be absorbed. Say colloidal particle, so it's the light radiation. So when light radiation fall on a colloidal particle, what happens? Part of the radiation will be absorbed and is re-emitted back, or else even we can say is get scattered in different directions. Okay. Now here the color of colloidal solution, it depends on what? It depends on the wavelength of light scattered. Whatever the light gets scattered here, it depends on the wavelength of a light scattered by these colloidal particles. So remember, whenever if you consider color of a colloidal particle, it depends on which factor? It depends on the wavelength of a light scattered by colloidal particles. Okay, well, now, so here what is wavelength? So wavelength of a light is nothing but, yes, what we say. So whenever so consider the light radiations, yes, we have a different light radiations. Say light which propagates in the form of a waves. So it is a kind of energy, or I can say, okay, radiations. They travel, or I can say, they propagate in the form of a waves. Waves in these waves have different wavelengths. Okay. One of the characteristics of a waves is the wavelength. So these waves are going to have a different wavelengths. We consider light. Okay, light radiation means it travels in the form of a waves. So it is the form of energy it travels which propagates in the form of a waves. Now these waves are going to have different wavelength. So it is abbreviated with the lambda. Now here, to understand color of the colloidal particles, it's the basic thing to be, it is necessary to know about. Yes, first we consider waves. Say what if I consider light radiations? It travels in the form of a waves. We consider wave theory of a light. So according to that, light travels in the form of a waves, and all the waves are going to propagate. Okay, all the propagate through space, and they are going to have different wavelength. Okay, different. Yes, what is wavelength? Wavelength is nothing but it is the distance between successive crust or troughs. Say the upward displacement. Say it is the line of propagation. Line of propagation. So it is the line of propagation. Now these are the upward displacement from the, these are the upward, so upward displacements. These are the upward displacements, and these two things I can consider downward downward displacement. Say upward displacement as well as downward displacement. So whenever if I consider waves, yes, there will be upward displacement and downward displacement from what? From line of propagation. These upward displacements are called, okay, crust. They are called crust, and downward displacements are called drops. Okay, yes. So now, what is wavelength of a that radiation means? This wavelength is nothing but it is the distance between any two consecutive, or I can say successive crust or drops is called a wavelength. Now, so different colors, if I consider radiations, or you can say colors, in other words, these different colors of light have different wavelength. Okay, okay. Now blue radiation, what is the wavelength here? 450 to 495 nanometer, means it is the wavelength. The distance between two consecutive crusts will be 450 to 495 nanometer for blue radiations or blue. Next one, if I go for, so green, what is the wavelength? 495 to 570 nanometer. As like, if you consider next color, that is yellow, 570 to 590 nanometer. Then orange, 590 to 620 nanometer. Okay. The next one red, 620 to 750 nanometer. Which means what I am saying here, whatever the colors we get, different colors we get, they have different wavelength. So all the radiations are going to be their particular wavelength range. For red, what is? It is the 620 to 750 nanometer. It is a wavelength range. Okay. Well, now if I consider color, as you said, the color of the colloidal solution depends on what? Wavelength of light scattered. So what I stated there, the color of a colloidal solution depends on wavelength of light scattered by dispersed phase particles. Okay, as we know, colors and different wavelength range. Okay, accordingly, these colloidal solutions are going to be a color. Yes, the wavelength of light depends on, further. Now we said color depends on wavelength of light scattered by dispersed phase particles. Now here the wavelength of a light in turn depends on what? It depends on the size and shape of the particles. We said color depends on what? Color depends on the wavelength of a light. Now this wavelength of a light depends on what? Depends on the size and shape of the particles. Okay, yes. Now if you consider colloidal particle size, how it's going to differ means, say for example gold. Now for gold, if you consider finest gold soul particle, okay, finest gold soul means very small gold particles which is red in color. Now we can analyze the color here. Say in the finest form means a very small size. What is the color? The color of the gold soul is red in color. Okay. Now say as the size increases, if you think of increased size, now we are going with the smallest size, small size. Say as size goes on increases, so what we observe in the change in the color, it appears purple, okay, then blue, then finally golden yellow. So what happens? The finest gold particles, when size is very small, what is the color? They are, okay, they are red in color, but as the size increases, color changes to purple, then blue, then finally golden yellow. Which means if you consider color of the gold particles changes, gold soul changes as the size changes. Say first it is red in color, red is converted into purple, purple is further changes to blue, okay, blue further changes to golden yellow. Okay. No, here as size increases, finest gold particles are red in color, okay, smallest, or I can say finest. Gold particles are red in color. As the size increases, okay, as the size increases, the changes red to purple, purple to blue, and finally it appears in the form of a golden yellow, which means I can say here the wavelength of light depends on the size of a colloidal particles. Yes. Further, we consider shape. As we said here, shape even wavelength of a light even depends on the shape of the particle. Yes, here if I consider spherical particles, okay, size of the particle we have understood with the help of gold soul. Okay, now if I consider shape, the spherical shape, if I consider the soul particles, if they are spherical in shape, they are going to scatter light. The spherical particles scatter the red light. Well, so whenever light radiations fall on a particles of spherical shape, what type of light will be scattered? A red light will be get scattered here. Okay, so on the other hand, if the particles are of disc like, okay, disc like, if they have a shape of disc like, then whenever light radiation fall on such a type of particles, they are going to scatter blue light. Okay, so if I consider shape here, what is the two shapes I am specifying? One is spherical, okay, one is spherical, and second one disc like particle. Say whenever light radiation fall on a spherical type of particle, they scatter red light. Whenever light radiation fall on a disc type of particle, okay, they scatter a blue light. Right. Next thing, say the shorter the wavelength of light is scattered by larger particles and vice versa. So what I am specifying here, shorter the wavelength of light is scattered by larger particles, which means here smaller particle wavelength of light scattered is more, and larger the size in the particle, shorter is the wavelength of the light scattered, which means how they are related? They are inversely related. Say size of the particle is inversely proportional to wavelength of a light radiation scattered here. As we said, finest gold with respect to gold itself. So gold, they are going to have finest size. If it is very small, what type of radiation? So finest gold particles, they are going to scatter red light, right? As size increases, large size yellow, which means size and wavelength of a light scattered both are inversely proportional. Please remember this relation. Now, color of a colloidal solution also changes with the manner with which observer receives the light. So, what is another factor? One more factor which is going to decide the color of the colloidal particle. It is the manner by which, okay, the manner in which observer receives the light. So, yes, we can understand this also with the help of example. For example, a mixture of milk and water appears blue. Please remember, a mixture of milk and water. Say milk plus water is taken in a vessel. Okay. Well, now this mixture of milk and water appears blue when viewer viewed reflected light. Reflected light means, say whenever light radiations are allowed to fall on this mixture, so part of the light radiation will be transmitted. So it is a transmitted light, okay, and part of the radiation is reflected reflected back to same. Say if we have only reflected light, okay, if you observe only reflected light, what how milk appears? It appears blue in color. And if we observe transmitted light, say milk appears red in color. Means Here the angle of observation is different, so it appears different in color. So milk is a colloidal solution, but what about color? We are going to observe a different color at a different directions. Means we can say the color of colloidal solution also changes with the manner in which observer receives the light. Okay, yes. So coming to the MCQs, the first one, wavelength of light depends on, yes, we said factors here, size, wavelength and color. So wavelength of light depends on size of the colloidal particles, okay, shape of the colloidal particles, shape of the solvent particles A and B. So what? The wavelength of a light scattered, it depends on what? It depends on the size of the colloidal particle as well as shape of the colloidal particle. So what is the answer? Answer D. A and B is correct. Okay. Well, now coming to the next property of a colloidal solution, it is the Brownian moment. Yes, what is Brownian movement? Say, whenever we observe colloidal solution with the help of ultra microscope, okay, what we are analyzing? We are analyzing colloidal solutions through ultra microscope. So, when colloidal solutions are viewed under powerful ultra microscope, what we observe, say, is the pattern. So, in ultra microscope, how the colloidal solution looks like is, say, is shown in this animation. Please view this. So, what we are analyzing here, say, whatever the particles are moving, okay, whether they have a regular movement, no, they have irregular movement. Say, just I'm going to state here, the colloidal particles appear to be state of continuous zigzag motion. How they are moving? They are moving in a continuous zigzag motion all over the field, all over the field of a view. So it is, if I consider it is a field of view, all the colloidal particles, they are not in a rest position or they are not in a regular motion. Instead they are in a continuous zigzag motion. Okay, means how they are moving? They are continuously moving in what fashion? In a zigzag manner. Say, they are moving in a continuously in zigzag fashion, like this. Yes, so this movement of colloidal particles, or you can say the motion of colloidal particles, for the first time observed by British botanist called Robert Brown. Okay, the motion of, or you can say the movement of colloidal particles was first observed or analyzed by Robert Brown. Hence, it is called Brownian movement. Okay, Brownian movement. Yes. So how we can define this? Brownian movement means it is the continuous zigzag movement. Continuous zigzag movement of a colloidal particles is called Brownian movement. Yes. So this motion is independent of nature of colloid, which means all type of colloidal particles are under Brownian movement. Okay. Yes. So, but it depends on what? That Brownian movement, it depends on the two factors. One is size of the particles. Okay, it depends on the size of the particle, and even it also depends on the viscosity of the solution, colloidal solutions. So it doesn't depend on the nature, but it depends on the size and viscosity of the colloidal solution. Size of the particle and viscosity of the colloidal solution. Okay. Then here, what is viscosity? Say, actually, the viscosity is the resistance to the free flow or movement of a particle. That's it. So viscosity is the resistance to the flow. Just remember, it is the resistance to the flow. Okay. Yes. Now, if we consider, so it can be concluded that smaller the size of the particle. Okay, if I consider Brownian movement depends on two factors we said. One is size of the particle, and second one is viscosity. Now, smaller the size, okay, if size is small, what happens? Mobility will be more. So I can say size and okay, Brownian movement. How they're related? Brownian movement. Both are inversely proportional. Can I say here? So larger the size, lesser is Brownian movement. Smaller the size, more is the Brownian movement. So both are inversely proportional. And second thing we said about viscosity. Okay, viscosity is the another factor. Now again viscosity also, if more viscous, if viscosity is more, what happens? Their mobility will be restricted. If viscosity is less, mobility is not restricted or less restricted. Again, I can say viscosity is also inversely proportional to Brownian moment of a colloidal particles. Therefore, overall, I can say, so smaller the size of the particle, smaller the size of the particle and lower viscosity solvent, means whatever the medium, colloidal solution in which, for a dispersion medium, if its viscosity is low, what happens? There will be Brownian motion, or I can say there will be fast, it will be Brownian movement, or Brownian motion is faster. So both are how? Both are inversely proportional. Size and viscosity is inversely proportional to Brownian movement of a colloidal particles. So again, it is also one of the important thing to be remembered. Okay, size and viscosity. These are the factors which influences the Brownian movement of a colloidal particles. Yes, what is Brownian movement? It is a continuous zigzag movement of colloidal particles. Okay, is called Brownian movement. Yes. Now further, if you consider cause, what is the cause for this Brownian movement? Means say that Brownian movement is due to, it is due to unbalanced bombardment between colloidal particles and molecules of a dispersion medium. So what is the cause? The cause for Brownian movement. Okay, what is the cause for Brownian movement? Means it is due to unbalanced bombardment between colloidal particles and molecules of a dispersion medium. Okay, so you may get the question here, what is the cause for Brownian movement? Yes, what is the answer here? It is due to unbalanced bombardment between colloidal particles and the molecules of a dispersion medium. Okay, well, now do you know why colloidal particles do not settle under gravity? Say we said colloidal particles are under continuous movement, they continuously, okay, they have what type of movement? They have Brownian movement, or like I can say they continuously move in a zigzag fashion. Now we know that these colloidal particles are also present under the gravity itself. Say here they do not settle. Colloidal particles do not settle under the gravity. What is the reason for it? Means say the Brownian movement is stirring effect. So what we said, colloidal particles are going to have Brownian movement. This Brownian movement has a stirring effect which does not permit the particle to settle. Thus, is responsible for stability of the soul. What happens? This Brownian movement has a stirring effect. Yes. Now, coming to the next, okay, next property of a colloidal particles, that is charge on a colloidal particles. Yes, we know this concept. Colloidal particles always carry an electrical charge. Yes, how they carry charge? Say whenever colloidal particles during preparation, we are going to add an electrolyte. When electrolyte is added, say colloidal soul, to that electrolyte is added, a small quantity of electrolyte is added. Electrolyte means say there will be cations and ions present. Okay, so whenever a small quantity of electrolyte is added to colloidal soul, what happens? These colloidal soul particles are going to adsorb. They are going to adsorb ions. Ions of what? Ions of an added electron. They adsorb either cation or anion on its surface. Say colloidal soul, they may adsorb cations, or that colloidal soul particle, they may adsorb anions. So in the given, okay, diagram, What is here? So positively charged soul, which means colloidal particles are going to carry a positive charge. That positive charge is due to adsorption of cations of an added electrolyte. See here, all soul particles are going to carry same charge, right? Identical charge. Because of it, so because of this same charge, what happens? They maintain colloidal state. Or else what happens? If they do not carry any charge, neutral particles, they come very close to one another. It leads to coagulation. Coagulation, or I can say precipitation. But is not happening. It is only because since, so it is a one colloidal soul carrying positive charge, another one more soul particle carrying positive charge. Due to like charge, what happens? They repel from one another, and is possible to maintain a colloidal state always. Okay, yes. Now it may be hydrated metallic oxides, example aluminum oxide, chromium oxide, iron oxide, etc. All are going to carry a positive charge. Okay, they are positively charged souls. Now, basic disturbs. For example, for positively charged souls, the basic disturbs are simply say dyes. Say it may be methylene blue. They are also positively charged soul, and globin. Hemoglobin is also example for positively charged soul, and oxides. Okay, example titanium oxide is also example for a positively charged souls. Now, if we consider negatively charged souls, I said one more possibility. Whenever during preparation of a colloidal soul, what happens? That colloidal soul particle may absorb, okay, may absorb ion of a added electrolyte. So it leads to negative charge. It leads to negative charge carried by colloidal particles. So in that case, what happens? Again, like charges, all all particles are going to carry like charge. Therefore, they repel from one another. So it maintains the colloidal state. Okay. Yes. Example for these negatively charged souls. So all the metal souls. In general, the metal souls, copper, silver, gold souls, they are negatively charged souls. Then further metallic sulfide salts, metallic sulfide, arsenic sulfide, okay, tin sulfide, cadmium sulfide, substanium sulfide, okay, these are also example for a negatively charged salts. And acid disturbs, basic disturbs and acidic disturbs. So acid disturbs, example eosin, congo red salt, okay. Methylene blue is an example for positively charged soul, while eosin, okay, Congo red soul, they are example for negatively charged souls. And even if we consider starch, gum, gelatin, clay, charcoal, all are example for a negatively charged souls. Okay, well, now coming to the MCQs. The first one, Brownian movement is due to. So first one, bombardment of the particles, movement of particles in straight line, scattering of light, and the fourth one, none of these. Yes, what is the cause here? That Brownian movement is due to bombardment of dispersed phase particles by dispersion medium particles. So option A is correct. Okay, well. Next, hemoglobin is an example for what? Example for positively charged soul. Next, negatively charged soul, neutral soul, A, B, and C. Yes, what is the answer? Yes, hemoglobin is an example for positively charged soul. Okay, well, so with this, I'm going to conclude about this session. Again, in the next session, we continue the remaining part of the chapter. Okay.